state ready to proceed?
State's ready.
And is the defense ready to proceed?
Defense is ready, Your Honor.
All right. Will the state please arraign the defendant?
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. What I'm about to read to you is the indictment in this case. It puts the defendant on notice of what he's been charged with, and it tells us what we have to prove. It reads, in the name by the authority of the state of Texas, the grand jury of Dallas County, state of Texas, duly organized at the January term AD 2018 of the 363rd Judicial District Court of said county, upon its oath, do present in and to the said court at said term that Billy Chemirmir, hereinafter called defendant, on or about the 20th day of March 2018 in the county of Dallas, state of Texas, did unlawfully, then and there, intentionally cause the death of Lou T. Harris, an individual, hereinafter called the deceased, by smothering the deceased with a pillow, a deadly weapon, with his hands, a deadly weapon, and with an unknown object, a deadly weapon, the exact nature and description of which is unknown and unknowable to the grand jury. And the defendant was then and there in the course of committing and attempting to commit the offense of burglary of said deceased. And further, did unlawfully, then and there, intentionally cause the death of Lou T. Harris, an individual hereinafter called deceased, by smothering the deceased with a pillow, a deadly weapon, and with hands, a deadly weapon, and with an unknown object, a deadly weapon, the exact nature and description of which is unknown and unknowable to the grand jury. And the defendant did then and there in the course of committing and attempting to commit the offense of robbery of said deceased, against the peace and dignity of the state, signed by the foreperson of the grand jury.
Thank you. And counsel, how does your client plead to that allegation?
Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, he enters a plea of not guilty.
Thank you. You all may be seated. State, are you ready to proceed with opening statement?
Yes, sir.
You may.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a case about stalking, smothering, and stealing. I'm going to take a little bit of time this morning to tell you about this case and about what you're going to hear and where we're going for the next about 4 days. All right? Last Wednesday, when we talked to y'all, it was mentioned a couple of times that this is going to be a difficult chore on your part. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think it's going to be that difficult. You just heard what I have to prove to you in that indictment. I have to prove that that man right there, Billy Chemirmir, caused the death of Lou T. Harris by smothering and then stole from her. I'm going to tell you there's going to be 3 key facts in this case that you all need to pay attention and listen for. Number 1, you're going to hear that on March 20th in 2018, both Mr. Chemirmir and Lou T. Harris were checking out at the Walmart at Coit and Arapahoe at around 3:27 in the afternoon. Together. One's in one checkout, one's in another checkout. They walk out together. He follows her. Or he leaves at the same time, around the same time as she does, from the Walmart. At 5:50, around approximately 5:50, he is arrested by his home. And at that time, he is throwing out possessions that came from Miss Harris's house. That came from Miss Harris. You're going to hear from 2 different doctors that performed the autopsy. And they're going to tell you that Miss Harris was smothered. And that's what it's basically going to boil down to, are those 3 key facts. Now, I've worked very hard on this case. We all have. We spent a lot of time over these last 3 years going over the evidence. And I know pretty much every answer to every question you might have about Mr. Chemirmir or about this case, except for one. And that's, what's it going to take for the 14 of you all to be convinced of that indictment? And so because I don't know that, I don't know if you're like Mr. Warren's dad, who doesn't need a whole lot. Remember, he talked about that in Ward Iron. It's not going to take a whole lot for him to get to that decision. But if the last couple of years have told us anything through social media and through news, that people are more skeptical these days about everything. And so because of that, I'm going to give you a full picture. Everything that the law is going to allow me to present in this case. And so to tell you about Miss Harris and about the ordeal she went through, I have to back up a little bit. And I'm going to tell you about the day before. I'm going to tell you about March 19th. And on March 19th, you're going to hear about a woman by the name of Mary Bartell. Mary Bartell lived in Plano at a retirement community in Plano. And that morning of March 19th, Billy Chemirmir went to her apartment, ordered her to go back into her bedroom, put a pillow over her face, and tried to smother her. Now she survived, I think unbeknownst to him. And she'll be able to tell you what happened through a deposition. She has since passed away in these last 3 years. Soon thereafter, that same day, the 19th, Mr. Chemirmir is selling a ring to some individuals, a unique ring that came from the hand of Mary Bartell. We're going to follow that investigation throughout the 19th and what happened, leading to a suspect for that Mary Bartell case, Billy Chemirmir. The arrest of Billy Chemirmir, it's going to get us to the property of Miss Harris, the name of Miss Harris. We're going to get to Miss Harris's house. We're going to find Miss Harris dead inside her house. We're going to then hear that a Richardson detective, Detective Pagel, when she heard about Mr. Chemirmir, she went back and looked at one of their unattended deaths in the city of Richardson that happened. That a lady by the name of Mary Brooks was found January 31st. And they're going to go back and they're going to look at on January 30th, the last time Mary Brooks was known to be alive was at that same Walmart on Coit and Arapahoe. And at that same time in the parking lot is a gray Altima known to be driven by Billy Chemirmir, sitting out there in that parking lot, stalking, waiting for someone to come out, parked right next to Mary Brooks' car. They leave together. He follows her out of there, follows her to her house, kills her, steals from her. And then the next day, on an OfferUp account, an internet platform to sell items, much like Craigslist, if you've heard of that before, a unique ring is being sold on that from his account. That ring has been identified as coming from Mary Brooks' house. That Mary Brooks, back in January, was called a natural death. They just thought an elderly woman had passed away. But after giving the information about the circumstances surrounding her death and the investigation that went into it, Dr. Bernard of the Dallas County Medical Examiner's Office changed that ruling to homicide, to a murder. And you're also going to hear that in all these different locations, Billy Chemirmir's unique phone and the records connecting to his phone are all in those locations every step of the way. And so I'm going to tell you, we're going to take a lot of time to do this nice and thorough for those of you who might be the more skeptical kind. But you're going to come back and you're going to think about those first three things. They're both checking out at the same time. He's throwing out her, Miss Harris's jewelry box, other items, and things connected to her house, and she was smothered. And that's going to be, I believe, an easy decision on your part to find him guilty of the offense that he committed, which is capital murder. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Mr. Warren, will you make an opening statement at this time?
Your Honor, we'll reserve our right to